Welcome to this Let's Play of Pokemon FireRed. And here we go. So Pokemon FireRed. Just like a lot of kids in the late 90s, early 2000s, I do have my history with Pokemon. At a very young age, when my peers got into Pokemon, I was kind of someone that was being resentful toward the series. At that time, I think I was only familiar with the anime, really. My guess is that I watched a little bit of it, but really wasn't into it. And all my peers and friends even, they were all into Pokemon, and I was like, Pokemon? What's so special about that? And I kind of was a low-key Pokemon hater, I think. And I think, still to this day, things that come up in pop culture that become fads, like I naturally kind of look down on them. But some time would go on, and when the Gen 4 games released, for either my birthday or Christmas, I'm not sure exactly when, but I would get Pokemon Diamond, just randomly. So I got that game, and you know, I was curious, and I gave it a try, played it, and I found myself enjoying playing Pokemon Diamond. So yeah, Pokemon Diamond was my first ever Pokemon game. Let me see when that released. April 22nd, 2007 in North America. So maybe I did get it Christmas that year. I'm not sure exactly when, but I was either 7 or 8 when I got Pokemon Diamond. I couldn't make it but so far in the game. But I guess as time went on, I slowly got better at Pokemon games. Soul Silver would come out, aka the Gen 2 remakes, Heart Gold and Soul Silver. I would get Soul Silver. Those would come out next, after the Gen 4 releases. I would get Soul Silver. That would become my new favorite. At some point I got my hands on an action replay, and I would love to use the action replay on the Pokemon games and catch trainers Pokemon and get all these Pokemon that I really couldn't get by myself unless I cheated. Then the Gen 5 games would come out, and I would get Pokemon White. I do remember at some point think in Pokemon Diamond, I was actually able to make it to the Elite Four legitimately, but I would get stuck. I couldn't go any further than that. I was probably like 10 or 11 or something, and I was able to make it there legitimately. So Pokemon games aren't really hard, because if a 10-year-old me was able to get to the Elite Four, the game's not very hard at all. Soul Silver, I was able to beat the main campaign, and then the awesome post game where you can actually go to the region in Gen 1. What I'm trying to say is I was able to beat Soul Silver and make it to the Kanto region, and I made it through halfway in that, but I think I finally just kind of got bored with the game and stopped playing halfway through doing that. But I might have done all that, but I might have done all that with an action replay. I'm really not sure, but I'm pretty sure I am like 99% sure I was able to get to the Elite Four in Pokemon Diamond legitimately without any cheats, but I couldn't beat the Elite Four. Couldn't make it through that. I never got past that. But the Gen 5 games would come out. Pokemon White is what I got. I played through that game. I beat that game. Again, I'm really not sure if I did that with an action replay or not. I'm really not sure. I want to say I didn't. I want to say I legitimately beat Pokemon White, but I really don't remember. I don't know. But I remember playing through Pokemon White, and I was just kind of like, this one's not hitting like Diamond and Soul Silver did. And that's kind of where I lost interest in the series going forward. So I had my history with Gens 2, 4, and 5. I never played Gen 1 or Gen 3. But in the 8th grade, and I've mentioned this on this channel before, in the 8th grade, I had this classmate and a friend who knew how to emulate, get a emulator for Game Boy games working on his phone. And me and a couple other friends / classmates, we noticed he was playing Pokemon on his phone. We asked him what was going on with that, and he explained it to us, and we were like, "Oh shit! You think you can put that on our phones?" Because we were interested to play the old Pokemon games as well. So he did that for us, and it was just an app you could go to, and you could download Game Boy games onto it from the Advance or Original or Color. And I got Pokemon FireRed on it for myself. And that's when I first played Pokemon FireRed. And I kind of fell back in love with Pokemon when I played through that game. And that became my favorite Pokemon game. And I never beat it while playing it on the emulator. And after a while, the emulator just stopped working. It wouldn't work anymore. I couldn't play any games on it. Nothing. It was just toast. But funny enough, my junior year in high school, what I asked for Christmas was a Game Boy Advance SP. I used to have a Game Boy Advance SP back when I was little. It's my first ever handheld console, my second ever console behind the PlayStation 2. All I ever had for it were licensed games. I never had any of the Pokemon games for it. I want to get into Pokemon until DS. I remember the game I wanted so bad for my Game Boy Advance SP was Nicktoons Unite. And I remember I got my Game Boy Advance SP my kindergarten year during my birthday, which is late November. And Christmas is a month later, and that's what I asked for, and I got for Christmas was Nicktoons Unite. And that, man, I was just so hyped for that game. And I had fun playing that as a little kid, and I would eventually beat it. It'd probably be 2 or 3 years later, or something like that, but and then I got Kingdom Hearts 2 kindergarten year for Easter, and my life was never the same since. But back to Pokemon here. Yeah, during the course of time, me and my original Game Boy Advance SP would be separated. I would not have it in my possession anymore. It probably just got thrown away, honestly, which I hate. And I just hate that I just didn't keep up and take care of my stuff when I was a little kid, especially my video games. But junior year in high school, all I really wanted for Christmas was a Game Boy Advance SP again, and I asked for Pokemon FireRed, and lo and behold, in my stocking Christmas morning, there they all were. My Game Boy Advance SP, a red one, just like I had when I was a little kid, and 2 copies of Pokemon FireRed, and I don't know if they're legit copies or not. I'm pretty sure at least one of them isn't, because they don't look the exact same. And but it worked. I played through Pokemon FireRed, and I beat the game, no problems. And it was a fun time. And that was the last time I played through any Pokemon game. About a month or so ago, I was looking through online, and I was on Walmart's website, and I just looked. Well, I don't even think I was originally on their website, but I went to look for old Pokemon game prices, and I came across Walmart's website, and they had like all the Game Boy Pokemon games on there for real cheap. And I'm like, well, this is fucking Walmart. Like, you would think their stuff is legit. But they got these Pokemon Advance games for $15. And I bought them. I bought Pokemon Leaf Green, the other Gen 1 Pokemon game. I bought all the Gen 3 Pokemon games, Ruby, Sapphire, and even Emerald. And I rebought Pokemon FireRed, so now I just went ahead and bought that again anyway. Because why not? I just bought all 5 Pokemon Game Boy Advance games. And that's the version of FireRed I'm playing. And eventually one day, I'll get to these other games that I bought. I'm looking into. I want to see how this goes. If this is a smooth experience. Hopefully it is. Then I think I might buy some. I'll buy the Gen 2 Pokemon games, which are on Game Boy Color. I'll buy them from Walmart as well. And I don't really care if they're fakes. They probably all are. As long as they work. As far as the whole pirated games thing goes, like I don't. As far as emulation and pirating games, like I really don't have the means to emulate games. I always just play games straight up on consoles. And yeah, these might be pirated copies of these games, but they're games that are 20 years old. Like it's not like Nintendo re-releases their games. I guess they're starting to now a little bit more and more with the Nintendo Online, but fuck the Nintendo Online stuff. I would like to own my games one way or another, preferably physical, but if not physical, at least let me own my own copies of the game digitally. Like, let me buy your game on the eShop, download it on my console, and just like own that copy of it digitally on my console. Like, it don't make me go through like a streaming service that I have to pay a monthly subscription for to play a game through your service. So I don't own that copy of it in any way, shape, or form. And if you could one day you could just take the game off the service, or the service could shut down, and I don't have that game anymore. I'm really not sure. That can maybe happen too, even if you buy the game digitally. Which I don't own many games digitally, but the Final Fantasy remasters, Final Fantasies 1 through 9, I all have them digitally on PS4. The Pixel remasters 3, 1, and 6, and Final Fantasy 7, 8, 9. The remastered versions of those games. I got them all digitally, bought them all digitally, downloaded them on my console. Like, could those be taken away from me somehow? I don't know. I don't know how all that works. But yeah, probably a fake copy. Hey, we went through this with Mother 3, right? Like, obviously, Mother 3 never had a North American release, no release outside of Japan. But I bought I guess you can say a reproduction cartridge that was translated into English. And I bought that, it came in, I played that on my GameCube, on my Game Boy player, attached to my GameCube. No problems. It all worked like a dream. Hopefully the same can happen with all these Pokemon games. Which, it's just, nothing's ever a guarantee. Damn, 18 minutes. Well, let's get into this. But yeah, Pokemon FireRed. It's my favorite Pokemon game. Gen 1 is my favorite generation of Pokemon. I have, on Backlogged, I have I made a list of my top 50 games. Put a lot of thought into it. The first half of the list was pretty easy. It got harder and harder to make the further down the list I went, but I digress. I was inspired to make my own top 50 list from a YouTuber I like to watch. He's a Kingdom Hearts YouTuber. Shout out to Regular Pat. Yeah, he has a top 50 list of his favorite video games. I was inspired to do the same. On that list right now, I have Pokemon FireRed ranked 11th, just sitting outside the top 10. Who knows? Maybe it could still sneak its way in there. The game I have 10th on the list is Final Fantasy X. I don't think Final Fantasy X easily edges out this game for me personally, but right now I have Final Fantasy X ranked ahead of this. Damn, Final Fantasy X, that was a game I played for the first time ever on this channel. That was the first ever Let's Play I ever did on this channel, which was only, what, 2.5 years ago? But yeah, I've really fallen in love with the Final Fantasy series. FF10 ranks only my 5th favorite Final Fantasy game. My whole top 10 favorite video games of all time, 8 out the 10 are either Final Fantasy games or Kingdom Hearts games. In fact, my whole top 3 are Kingdom Hearts games. So, you know, like, but those are just my favorite games, me personally. And that's all that list is. So, so for non-Square Enix games, this game actually ranks 3rd all time for me. Behind number 2 being Grand Theft Auto 5, and number 1 would be Mother 3. Wait, I should probably read this actually. In the world which you are about to enter, you will embark on a grand adventure with you as the hero. Speak to people and check things wherever you go, be in towns, roads, or caves. Gather information and hints from every source. New paths will open to you by helping people in need, overcoming challenges, and solving mysteries. At times, you will be challenged by others and attacked by wild creatures. Be brave and keep pushing on. Through your adventure, we hope that you will interact with all sorts of people and achieve personal growth. That is our biggest objective. Press the A button and let your adventure begin. I should also mention that Pokemon FireRed is a remake of Pokemon Red. So these are Gen 1 remakes, like Soul Silver was a Gen 2 remake from the original Gen 2 games on Game Boy Color. I still have Pokemon Soul Silver in my possession, but I don't have a good way to record DS games. Obviously, if I got my hands on the original Game Boy Color version of Pokemon Silver, for an example, I could play that on my Game Boy player and easily record that, like I'm doing now with this Game Boy Advance. This Game Boy Advance game. Gotta love the Game Boy player. Can play Game Boy Color, and Game Boy Advance games. I would want to play the original Game Boy game, because then it just shouldn't it just be in black and white? It was black and white originally on the Game Boy. If you played it on a Game Boy Color, and maybe this, would it be in color? But if it wasn't originally made to be looked in color, would it even be made to have color? Because why would it even be made to have color if there's no console at the time while it was made to let it be seen in color? But I feel like I have heard that before, that regular Game Boy games can actually be played in color if you play them on a Game Boy Color. But maybe that's just malarkey. Maybe I just don't know what the hell I'm talking about. Yeah, this is just gonna be a pretty normal playthrough of Pokemon FireRed. No Nuzlocke or anything like that. Maybe one day, maybe one day we'll do a Nuzlocke or something akin to it. I do think something I love about Pokemon games is I think they do have incredible replayability with all the Pokemon you can catch and use and different teams you can use and whatnot. Hello there, glad to meet you. Welcome to the world of Pokemon. My name is Oak. People affectionately refer to me as the Pokemon Professor. This world is inhabited far and wide by creatures called Pokemon. For some people, Pokemon are pets, others use them for battling. As for myself, I study Pokemon as a profession. But first, tell me a little about yourself. Now tell me, are you a boy or are you a girl? Let's begin with your name. What is it? So I guess if there was a canon name for this guy, it would be Red. Guess they don't give you any default names in this version of the game. I thought they did. I'm gonna look something up real quick. I know this Let's Play is going nowhere fast. I just want to see if characters, the people in this game, if their names are all capitalized or not. Might be a silly thing. I don't want to name my character in Arrival with lowercase letters in their name if everybody else's name is capitalized. Looks like everybody else's name. Yeah. Yeah, it looks like people's names in battles at least are capitalized. So we'll do that. We'll stick with the capital letters here. Red. Yeah, I'm gonna be a boring bitch. We're just naming them Red. Yeah. Right, so your name is Red. This is my grandson. He's been your rival since you both were babies. What was his name now? Green. I will use the anime name for this guy. Just fuck it. We'll go with Gary. Yeah, I like to use Gary because other characters that come up that are in the anime have their anime names. I guess you could say Ash Ketchum from the anime. It's kind of like another take on Red. So maybe I could have just named our playable character Ash, but you know, Red and Ash are like two completely different dudes to me. Red is a silent protagonist. Ash, he won't shut the fuck up. I kid. Was it Gary? That's right. I remember now. His name is Gary. Red. Yeah, Professor Oak may or may not have Alzheimer's, or at least dementia. Pretty low-hanging fruit to make that joke about him at this point. Your very own Pokemon legend is about to unfold. Your very own Pokemon legend Arceus adventure is about to unfold. A world of dreams and adventures with Pokemon awaits. Let's go. I never did play Pokemon Arceus. I've never played anything past Gen 5 Pokemon. But who knows? Maybe I'll give the newer games a try. Maybe I'll give Pokemon Arceus a try. That's, you hear mostly positive things about that. I want to turn the text speed on fast. There we go. FireRed played with the NES. Okay, it's time to go. This is kind of a little secret thing you can do. You got a potion waiting in your inventory. You can go ahead and whip that out. It's a post-it notice. Right, all boys leave home someday. It said so on TV. Oh yes, Professor Oak next door was looking for you. There's a movie on TV. 4 boys are walking on railroad tracks. I better go too. Yeah, that's a reference to a book that I guess became a movie. I forget what it's called. I think Family Guy also did a parody on it. Probably would definitely be a good movie to watch. Pallet Town. Shades of your journey await. Is that right? Oh, look! Read it. Signs are useful, aren't they? Technology is incredible. You can now store and recall items and Pokemon as data via PC. Yeah. A lot of dialogue in this game through NPCs. And just in general, really. Gonna be pretty basic. Nothing that's really too deep or anything that blows you away. Gary's house. Hi, Red. My brother Gary is out at Grandpa's lab. It's a big map of the Kanto region. Now this would be useful. It will be useful, wouldn't it? There's a Pokemon on TV. It looks like it's having fun. The lovely and sweet Clefairy. I study Pokemon as Professor Oak's aide. Professor Oak may not look like much, but he's the authority on Pokemon. Many Pokemon trainers hold him in high regard. Yeah, I don't think anybody's gonna have multiple things to say. I study Pokemon as Professor Oak's aide. As well. I do. It's true. What? It's only Red. Gramps isn't around. Oh fuck. How could I not know instantly? This is what you're supposed to do to advance plot. Hey, wait! Don't go out there. Don't go out. It's unsafe. Wild Pokemon live in tall grass. You need your own Pokemon for protection. I know. Here, come with me. Gramps, I'm fed up with waiting. Gary, let me think. Oh, that's right. I told you to come. Just wait. Here, Red. There are 3 Pokemon here. Haha! The Pokemon are held inside these Pokeballs. When I was young, I was a serious Pokemon trainer. But now, in my old age, I have only these 3 left. You can have one. Go on, choose. Hey Gramps, no fair. What about me? Be patient, Gary. You can have one too. Heh, I don't need to be greedy like you. I'm mature. Go ahead and choose, Red. Okay, Red. Inside those 3 Pokeballs are Pokemon. Which one will you choose for yourself? I see. Bulbasaur is your choice. It's very easy to raise. So, Red, you want to go with the grass Pokemon, Bulbasaur? Squirtle is your choice. It's one worth raising. So, Red, you decided on the water Pokemon, Squirtle? Ah, Charmander is your choice. You should raise it patiently. So, Red, you're claiming the fire Pokemon, Charmander? I sure am. And gotta say, the Gen 1 starters, all very solid. Probably my favorite starters in the Pokemon series, the Gen 1 starters. The only other one that comes close would be the Gen 3 starters. I've never even played Gen 3 Pokemon, but the Gen 3 starters are cool too. Very close second to the Gen 1 starters for me. This Pokemon is really quite energetic. Red received the Charmander from Professor Oak. Do you want to give a nickname to this Charmander? And of course, you're gonna choose the one that out-elements my Pokemon, you bastard. I'll take this one then. Gary received the Squirtle from Professor Oak. Yes. I was hoping I would get a male Charmander. Because I just wanted my Charmander to be a male. My Pokemon looks a lot tougher than yours. That's Professor Oak's last Pokemon. Originally I think they had planned for Professor Oak to be fightable in a Pokemon battle. Maybe as a late game opponent. Maybe as the ultimate opponent, really, for completing the Pokedex. I think I can't say anything with absolute certainty, but I think they found where in the original game's code or whatever that Professor Oak was to be fightable and he would have his own Pokemon. If a wild Pokemon appears, your Pokemon can battle it. With that at your side, you should be able to reach the next town. If Professor Oak was the ultimate challenge in the game, someone you could fight, I think it would have been cool for whatever leftover Pokemon would be in his party. So I chose a Charmander that made Gary choose a Squirtle. Bulbasaur is left over. That Bulbasaur should be in Professor Oak's party by the time we fight him for a post-game Super Boss battle. That Bulbasaur should be a Venusaur. With that at your side, you should be able to reach the next town. Wait, Red, let's check out our Pokemon. Come on, I'll take you on. Rob Gary would like to battle. Oh, for Pete's sake. So pushy as always. Don't tear my shit up here in this lab while you boys fight it out in here. Red, you've never had a Pokemon battle before, have you? A Pokemon battle is when trainers pit their Pokemon against each other. The trainer that makes the other trainer's Pokemon faint by lowering their HP to 0 wins. But rather than talking about it, you'll learn more from experience. Try battling and see for yourself. Growl. What does Growl do? I think Growl lowers defense. Okay, how I've always played Pokemon, these attacks that are not physical attacks, but they lower or raise stats, I never used them. Yeah, I always played these Pokemon games like I was a 7-year-old kid, just using just filling up my Pokemon's attacks with attacks, physical attacks, and nothing else. And that's, you know, each Pokemon would just have 4 attacks. I mean, when I was 7 years old, I was doing all that, but I was basically just using my starter Pokemon, and that's it. And I would just fucking get through the game with my starter Pokemon. That's kind of a boring way to play it. In 8th grade, by the time I was in 8th grade and I was playing this game for the first time, I was at the point where I wanted to use multiple Pokemon, not just my starter. So, I did use multiple Pokemon, but I still only used the physical attacks with them. So I don't know, maybe I'll try out some actual stat raising and lowering commands, whatever you want to call them. Maybe I'll actually do that in this playthrough. Growl, that should lower defense, but is it worth using Growl? Because if I use this turn to lower defense, I'm not using that turn to take away HP by using an attack. So for it to be worth using Growl, it needs to lower the enemy's defense enough to where on my second turn, when I do use an attack, it does more damage that one turn than what it would have done if I used it 2 turns in a row. And now is not the time for experiments. And this is stuff you can really only find out by experimenting. You can also do stuff like get critical hits and have your attacks miss, so those things play a factor as well. More times than not, you should be able to win this fight by just attacking. So we'll just do that. Inflicting damage on the foe is the key to any battle. Oh, he's lowering something of mine. He's lowering my defense. My defense is lowering by a lot. He keeps on lowering it. 2 completely opposite strategies. Oh, he came with the tackle. Saying it didn't. Okay, I think that's the perfect example. My Squirtle and his Squirtle and my Charmander, they're both level 5. I just attacked. Look where he's at on HP. He did 3 tail whips in a row, lowered my defense 3 times in a row, then finally attacked me. And that's all the HP he took away. That's all the HP he took away. It seems like, based on the evidence presented before us, that my strategy is better. Just attack. Don't worry about fucking lowering the stats, but, you know. At least for now. But, maybe Charmander's attack stat is just higher than Squirtle's attack stat. If it is, I can't imagine it's by a lot, you know. I would have to imagine it's pretty close. Honestly, they probably have equal attack stats, but I don't know. It depends also, like, what kind of, I'll just call it traits your Pokemon has. Which is, we'll look into that in a second. Hopefully this will do them in. Yeah. Defeated our rival. What? Unbelievable. I picked the wrong Pokemon. I got $80 for winning. Excellent. If you win, you earn prize money, and your Pokemon will grow. Battle other trainers and make your Pokemon strong. Because we all know how RPGs work. When you win a battle, you gotta get some money. That's just the unsaid rule. Okay. I'll make my Pokemon battle to toughen it up. Red, Gramps, smell you later. Keep doing that. I keep wanting to think those buttons are either to run, which I just can't run just yet, or bring up the menu. So what kind of trait do you have? Or nature? Rash nature. So Pokemon can have different natures, and that determines their stats and stuff. Their base stats and whatever. Rash nature. I wonder what that means. I don't know. But I think their natures and their genders are new for this game's remake. The original Gen 1 games, Pokemon's didn't have genders, and they didn't have natures. But the natures especially, that really diversifies Pokemon in this game. You know, I could have a Charmander, someone else could have a Charmander, and they could have different natures, and the two Charmanders are different. So I think that's cool. The whole gender thing was mainly added with the new mechanic of being able to breed Pokemon, which debuted in Gen 2 Pokemon, and maybe the natures did too, probably. But the breeding makes its way into this game for the remake as well, and that's cool. Red, raise your young Pokemon by making it battle. It has to battle for it to grow. Red, you should take a quick rest. Oh good, you and your Pokemon are looking great. Take care now. Red, I heard you had a battle against Scary. I wish I'd seen that. Where am I supposed to get this map? Hi, I work at a Pokemon Mart. It's part of a convenient chain selling all sorts of items. Please visit us in Viridian City. I know I'll give you a sample. I'll give you a sample. Here you go. Obtain the potion. Please come see us if you need Pokeballs for catching Pokemon. Nine times out of 10, it's pretty easy to run away from battles against wild Pokemon. See those ledges along the road? It's a bit scary, but you can jump from them. You can get back to Pallet Town quicker that way. I'm really not sure what my objective is right now. I guess I gotta do something and make my way back to Pallet Town, and then I'll get the Pokedex and the map and be on my adventure for real. Like I said, last time I played through this game was when I was in 8th grade. That was 11 years ago. Which is crazy. Alright, well, I think I'll go ahead and end this first episode here. Until next time.